up, Doc? What's cooking? What's up, Doc? Oh, you're looking for Bugs Bunny bunting. Duck is gonna hunting just to get a rabbit skin, but now the rabbit's gonna get. What's up, Doc? What's cooking? Hey, look out! Stop! You're gonna hurt someone with that old shotgun. Yeah, what's up, Doc? We really mean it. What's up, Doc?
Hello, friends. Are you ready?
What's for dinner? I'm hungry.
Yum, 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 yum.
Delicious.
Let's go, everybody. Yay! Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Zoe's Blind Kitchen Corner. Yay, I got that right. I'm getting used to the name. So I'm happy to be here. Today I have a wonderful, wonderful recipe. It's a make-ahead recipe. So we love those. You could probably half the recipe if you're cooking for a smaller family. This recipe is actually really good for a party. If you're going to have a party, this is a big dose. We're gonna make oven baked meatballs. You can actually make these even a month before your party, and after you finish baking them and they've cooled completely, you can put them in freezer bags. You can put, 20 in a freezer bag, 30, whatever it is that you desire. Put them in the freezer, let them freeze, and on the day of your party, just take them out and leave them on the counter to defrost if you're running short on time. So if your party's at 2 p.m., you want to serve some hors d'oeuvres, and you're baking some stuff in the oven, or you're doing your getting ready your last minute rice or something like that, you would take the frozen meatballs, you'd put them in a bowl, and you'd put them directly on your stovetop, not on the burners, on your stovetop, in the middle of your burners. So that way, while your oven is baking or you're cooking up rice or something else on the burners, the meatballs are slowly defrosting. They taste just as good as the day you made them. You could always take them out the night before your party and defrost them overnight in the fridge, and take them out in the morning or afternoon when you're gonna get ready to serve them. Warm them up in the oven or in the microwave, wherever you want, and then serve them. So this is a great make-ahead recipe. Now, today is actually 2 days, Thursday, Friday, no, 3 days before Orthodox Pascha, Easter. So obviously all these episodes I'm doing right now, we're on our third episode. We started taping before Easter came along. And today is Thursday, April 29th, 2021. And Sunday is the celebration of the Lord's resurrection. Regardless of whether I can have people over or not, it's the Feast of Feasts, it's the Festival of Festivals, so I'm going to cook up a storm. I'm going to make 4.5 pounds of ground beef. I'm feeding 6 people. My husband could eat meatballs from morning to night for 3, 4, 5, whatever days. He will never complain. So for my family, this isn't too much. But as I said, if you're doing this for a party, good amount for hors d'oeuvres, so on and so forth. Now, I buy my ground beef from the farmer's market. I see a big difference between supermarket ground beef. It tastes better. It works better in your recipes. It's just better. I don't make this recipe with supermarket ground beef. I prefer that you get your ground beef, if not from a farmer's market, freshly ground from the butcher. So because I don't remember all the ingredients off by heart usually. I actually have my iPad here and I can read them out to you, but I'm actually going to try to do it from memory. So we've got 4.5 pounds of ground beef. I've measured it out with my handy kitchen scale. I've done all the measuring beforehand. I'm not going to bore you guys today with measuring. So this is 4.5 pounds of ground beef, and I've placed it in a really huge stainless steel bowl. This is probably even bigger than a chips bowl, but anyways, we've got 60 grams of very finely chopped parsley. We have 4 eggs. We have somewhere back here, we have 4.5 cups of breadcrumbs with cheese. And I think I've left out the brand. Oh, maybe not. Oh, yes, I have. So this is the brand. I don't know if I'm showing it correctly. No, this way. Oh, this way. So it's the Aurora breadcrumbs with cheese. I think there's another brand, Ital or something. It doesn't matter. This one has Romano. You could get it with Parmesan. This is the one I'd find. This is the one I'd buy. So this is the breadcrumbs with Aurora. So we said 4.5 cups of breadcrumbs. And I've got milk, which is 9.1 ounces. Remember what I told you guys about ounces and grams? If you're off a little bit, doesn't matter. When I measured my milk out today, it was 9.2 ounces. I'm not going to try to take out, you know, half of an ounce. That's ridiculous. So it's 1 cup. It's 1 cup of whole milk and 1/8 cup if you'd rather use cups. We've got 2 large tomatoes. We have our spices, which I've put all together in a bowl. It's 2 teaspoons of oregano, 2 teaspoons of basil, 3.5 teaspoons of sea salt, 1/2 teaspoon of ground thyme, not thyme leaves, ground thyme. It looks like powder. And 1/2 teaspoon of ground black pepper. So I think I've got all the ingredients. I'll say them again as we go. Oh, and the last, I forgot. See? Right in front of me. 1 shot of ouzo. Ouzo is a Greek alcoholic drink. So you might want to call these drunken meatballs. But we're being nice. We're only giving them 1 shot. For 4.5 pounds, they'll be okay. It's a very nice, sweet smelling. It's from the, I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly in English, the anise seed. So from the anise seed, it's made. I think it's considered a liqueur. When you taste it, there's a burning sensation to it. Very, very, I find it very strong. It's very tasty. The smell is absolutely beautiful. So that's our ingredients. So I've measured everything out. So I have I'm just going to move over this way. So we have the ground beef in here. We've washed our hands as always. Got my hair tied back today because, you know, don't want hairs in my meatballs. I've got my apron on. Let's go. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to dump the milk in. And there it goes. Milk is done. We're going to dump our ouzo. Ouzo done. Parsley. Eggs rolling, but there's none on the floor, so we're good. Parsley. Dump it in. Eggs. 4 eggs. So we said 60 grams of parsley, 4 eggs. The parsley should be as finely chopped as possible. We've got our 4.5 cups of breadcrumbs. Almost dropped that one. We've got our 1 shot of ouzo. And I'm just doing the final egg. See, I did forget ingredients. We have our 2 large red onions and 1.5 bulbs of garlic. And what I've done is I've showed you guys previously how to clean your onions and your garlic, and I've put them through a food processor. The only thing I want to tell you about this, I'm just going to pour it in while I'm telling you, is when you do your onions, you should place half an onion in your processor if you have a small one. If you have a large one that takes both your onions, place all the garlic in with the onions. You want to get them nice and fine. And we've got our onions in. Give my hand a wash. Get rid of that. And our spices. In they go. Just leave it there for now. So what happened now is I tried to put some of my spices in. My hands were a little bit wet and it got all stuck to my hands. So I'm probably a little short on my spices. That's okay. It's not a big deal. I probably lost, I don't know, 1 millimeter or so of spices. Whoop-de-doo. Now, the breadcrumbs go in. Oh, I just spilled some breadcrumbs. Whoop-de-doo. See? That's when you're trying to be quick and not careful. Alrighty. Before I mix all that up together, and Zoe just made a mess. See? I wouldn't have made a mess if I wasn't on video. Maybe. So I have 2 large tomatoes. I can't close my palms around the tomato, so they're pretty big. I can actually probably close both my hands around the tomato, not completely. I'm going to grate tomatoes into my mixture. So for blind people, you can feel the top and what my mom calls the butt of the tomato. So it's where the stem was. So I'm going to hold the tomato down just like I do with the onions, left and right finger sort of on both sides to feel you've got the tomato on your side. So you've got the stem part on your right and the butt part on your left. And I'm going to take my non-sharp knife that I've showed you guys many times. I'm going to try to center it as much as possible. And I'm just going to put my hand on top so I can hold the tomato with my fingers. And I'm going to slice right through. And I've got a half of a tomato. And I'm just going to quickly do the other one. Now, tomatoes give off a lot of juice. I'm going to get you to come this way. So this is a box grater that I'm holding in my hand. And yeah, my mom actually broke the handle, but it still works. We don't throw things away unless we have to. The box grater has, I have a big one in my hands, and it has 4 sides. The one side feels like it has lines going straight across. That's for cutting cheese and stuff like that. That's not the side we want. Then we have 3 more sides. There's one side that the holes feel big and they feel far apart from each other. And then you have another side which is very fine holes. And that's for grating, for example, Parmesan cheese. And then you have another side which the holes are much closer together and it feels very bumpy, very prickly. That's not the side we want. We want the side with the biggest holes. I'm going to hold it directly over my mixture. And I'm going to grab the tomato. And I'm going to start grating it on the big hole side. So you're going to hold the skin in your hand, the part with the skin in the palm of your hand. And you're just going to grate directly into the mixture. And all the juices and the grated tomato are all going to fall right into this. Now, I don't even bother seeding the tomato. These are I am using organic tomatoes, and the seeds are very tiny. I've never taken them out. You can't see them in the meatballs. So you just keep grating, moving your hand around until you sort of feel that you just have skin left in your hands. If you're afraid that you're going to get some skin into it, it's not a big deal. Just toss it and move on to the next piece. So now I want to tell you while I'm doing this that I used to fry, pardon me, I used to fry meatballs. I'm not very good with frying because I'm blind. I've done it. I don't like it. I don't feel safe. Meatballs are small. I don't know. They splatter, hot oil. Even if I'm good at it, I don't like the idea of it. And so I used to actually do all this and get my mom or my husband to fry them. Sometimes I do it on my own, but if I could get out of it, believe me, I would. And a couple of my friends actually used to do meatballs in the oven. And they told me how to do it. And for some strange reason, I just couldn't get it. I couldn't get it. I kept on trying and trying and trying. And I don't know, I kept on burning them for some reason. I don't know what I was doing wrong. I don't know. Anyways, I finally came across a recipe actually on a blind mailing list. I think the lady who posted it, her name was Marilyn. I think she said Marilyn's mom's oven baked meatballs. So if Marilyn's out there and she's watching, hi Marilyn, this is your recipe. But I adapted this recipe to make it Greek. So I changed the spices and the ingredients I put in and so on and so forth because, you know, whatever. And now I make them in the oven, so that's a lot less cholesterol. That's a lot less oil and not dangerous, and they always turn out perfect. And I'm on the last piece. So I just found a way for blind people to make the most delicious meatballs, and sighted people, but without frying. So this is wonderful. And I'm just gonna go a little quicker. And I'm not actually gonna freeze these meatballs. So like I said, it's Thursday, April 29th. I'm going to mix all this concoction up, all the ground beef with all the ingredients. And I'm going to cover it and I'm going to place it in the refrigerator for 24 hours. And I will actually see you guys tomorrow and show you. So I'm done. I'm just gonna clean off my whatever's left on the grater. Okay, good enough. Have I forgotten anything? Let's feel our counter. Nope, haven't forgotten anything. I hope you guys jotted down the ingredients. I've taken all my rings off, obviously, all my bracelets, everything, because now, you're going to remember your childhood. You're just going to put your hands and you're going to start mixing with your hands. It's going to take a while for all this to incorporate. So as I was saying, what was I saying? Yeah, so it's Thursday. So I'm going to leave this in the refrigerator once it's all mixed and ready. And I'm going slow because the bowl is pretty full to the top. And I don't want everything to fall out. I've already made a little bit of a mess. I don't want to make more. And I don't want to lose any more ingredients. So I'm just going to keep mixing up. Now I'm using both hands. I've mixed with one hand while I'm turning the bowl with the other. And now I'm using both hands. And if I need to turn the bowl, so I have the palms of my hands in the mixture. And I actually use I kind of place my arms on the edge and I turn. I turn. So you'll figure that out. You'll figure out how to do it. You want to mix this well because you want to make sure the spices go everywhere. Yeah, so tomorrow, after 24 hours, it's not set in stone. It doesn't have to be exactly 24 hours. It could be 22 hours. It could be 25 hours. It could be 26 hours. The point is tomorrow. So it's actually probably around 3:30 in the afternoon today. I might even actually do this tomorrow morning, like 9 o'clock in the morning. What I'm going to do is I'm going to shape the meatballs and I'm gonna put them into the fridge again, but they're gonna be ready, shaped, ready for baking, and I will show you guys that. And I'm actually gonna bake these on Saturday. So they're going to be in the fridge for 48 hours. So all these beautiful, beautiful ingredients, all this beautiful ingredients is going to incorporate, it's going to settle, it's going to mix in. And don't worry about your ground beef going bad. The acid of the tomatoes, the natural ingredients in garlic, the ouzo, all the spices, the salt. This is going to preserve your ground beef. No, I wouldn't say leave it in the fridge for 3, 4, 5 days. No. For me, max is top 2 days, which is what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave it in for 2 days. Somebody told me 3 days is okay too, but I've never done it. I leave it in the fridge for 2 days. I think that's enough for it to settle and get everything, all the flavors to blend. So we're getting there. It's still not quite. I still feel a lot of ingredients at the bottom. You might have to mix this for 5-10 minutes. You'll feel it when... Now, there is something I do want to tell you guys, that maybe your tomatoes have more juice. This is a big dose, so it shouldn't happen. But if it does, let's say that you feel that you've mixed it up sufficiently. You're going to take... With your fingers, you're just going to pinch off a portion. That's too big. Let's just say a walnut size. And you're going to squeeze it with your fingers. You're going to squeeze with your fingers. And you're going to put it on your palm. And you're going to take your other palm, you're going to put it on top. And you're going to roll it around. Roll it around between your two palms. So mine is holding together wonderfully. I can jump, 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 and it doesn't fall apart. So what I just did is I actually put the meatball in between my palms, my two hands, and I started tossing it in the air like a ball. So, and it's holding together. So that means the juices in here are sufficient. The breadcrumbs are sufficient. I don't need, if it's not holding together, that means you've got a lot of liquid in here from the tomatoes, the milk, the ouzo, or whatever the case may be. It's not a loss. You just add more breadcrumbs and maybe add one more egg. And that's it. Those are your binders. Now, I suggest you guys find ouzo. It is sold at the LCBO in Toronto. If it's not sold at your particular LCBO, you can always ask them and they'll have it delivered to yours. Or you can call ahead and find which store has it, and you can go get it. I wouldn't replace the ouzo, but if you really can't find ouzo, I would add maybe up to 2, which I've done in the past, juice of 2 lemons. It's up to you. You can do 1 lemon, you can do 1.5, you can do 2. I would not do more than 2, and I think even 2, unless your lemons have a lot of very little juice, that's the only way I would do 2. 1.5 is sufficient, and I would do lemon juice if I can't find ouzo. It will give it a different taste but the acidity again will work the same way. So my mixture is pretty muchly mixed, but what I'm gonna do now, I'm just pressing it down with the palms of my hands and my fingers into the bowl. I'm actually going to use my fingers like forks. I'm going to use my fingers like a mixer. So I'm holding my fingers apart in both hands, and I'm going to stick them in. And with my thumbs, I'm going to massage the meat. And this will mix it even better. So I'm massaging the meat with my fingers. I'm turning the bowl. And I'm massaging and I'm turning. So you're just trying to incorporate, make sure you don't want a meatball with 3 teaspoons of salt and 1 with parsley. You want all this to be mixed really well. So I'm just gonna mix. Now, it doesn't matter how long you mix. Like I said, just be sufficient, be thorough, not sufficient, sorry. Be thorough, mix nicely. You don't want to overmix. You don't want to be mixing for 15 minutes because if you're mixing for 15 minutes, your meatballs are going to get tough. Now, I'm pretty happy with the mixing right now. I feel it. It's nice. It holds together. I'm going to do this again tomorrow morning. So tomorrow morning, I'm going to take it out of the fridge. I'm going to knead it and mix it again, massage it for, whatever, 3, 4, 5 minutes. And then I'm going to shape my meatballs. And I will show you guys that tomorrow. So, Thursday afternoon, yeah. So, good night. So, we're back. So by accident, we turned off the camera. I'm not even going to go into details. We're not sure what happened. But anyways, the good thing is that the recipe didn't go to waste. Because if the camera had turned off somewhere in the middle, yeah, then I wasn't going to do this again. I don't have another 4.5 pounds of ground beef to do this over again. So I was going to say goodnight and I'll see you in the morning to shape these meatballs. I will give you the rest of the details for the baking times. I will show you how to put parchment paper on the baking sheets and how I'm going to cook them in the time frame and so on and so forth. See, sorry about that, but I lose my train of thought, but it's mostly because I speak 2 languages and I'm trying to remember certain words in English. As I said, I mixed this up really, really well. I patted it all down. Now this bowl is really big. I need to wash my hands from the ground beef. I'm going to use a very large amount of, I'm using Dawn, just your liquid soap. We need to disinfect our hands really well from the meat so that bacteria doesn't linger onto your hands. And I'm going to use cling wrap. Some people call it plastic wrap. Some people call it saran wrap. That's actually a brand. Anyways, plastic wrap. And I can't cover this bowl. I could use 2 pieces and cover the whole entire bowl. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to show you guys. So I have some cling wrap just here on the side. So I've already cut my pieces out. So what you're going to do is you're just going to put your cling wrap or plastic wrap directly on your ground beef. Make sure that it's, now this one piece is going to cover half my mixture. And I'm going to take my other piece and I'm going to put it, so I put the one piece, on half the side of the bowl, and now the other piece on the other half. So basically I'm putting 2 pieces of plastic wrap and I'm pressing it down onto the ground beef mixture, and I'm making sure I'm putting my fingers at the edges of the ground beef in the bowl, and I'm pushing the cling wrap in to make sure that it's all nice and covered and secure. This is ready. I'm going to put it in the fridge for 24 hours, and I will see you guys in the morning with the rest of the details. Bye for now. Okay guys, so on to the next step when it comes to our meatballs. We need to shape them. So they've been sitting in the fridge. Remember, we mixed it all up. We added cling wrap, and I'm just gonna pull off the cling wrap. It's been sitting in our fridge for 20 hours, whatever it is. It's from yesterday. So we did this on Thursday. Today is Friday. And I'm just smelling it. It smells wonderful. Now, there's a few ways. I have a baking sheet on my left. I have my bowl, on my left. I have my baking sheet on my right, and I have my bowl of ground beef mixture on my left. In the middle, I have my scale with a small dessert plate on it. And I also have a butter knife and a cookie scoop. And I'm gonna tell you guys why I have these things. So, there's a few ways you can do this. It's a little time consuming. So you're gonna choose which suits you better. So I'm going to, with my hands, I'm gonna pinch off a portion, probably the size of a walnut. I'm going to turn on my scale.
Hello. It's ready.
So she's greeted us. The scale has greeted us and said it's ready. And I've taken the piece of ground beef mixture and I've rolled it into a ball. And the way I told you guys, you're going to put the piece on the palm of your hand, and with your other palm, you're going to add very slight pressure and roll it around. And you're going to get a nice uniform meatball. So I'm going to put it on the scale.
34 grams.
Telling me it's 34 grams. That's a little too big, so I'm just going to pinch off a little piece.
0 grams.
And I'm going to re-roll it and put it back on the scale. It told me that it's back to 0.
31 grams.
Now it's telling me it's 31 grams, which is just fine. This,
0 grams.
I like to make my meatballs between 29 and 30 grams. Now, when we actually bake these, but I will show it to you guys again, but I'm just going to mention it. Right now it's pretty much a pretty even, perfect ball. When we're going to bake it, we're going to put it up in the palm of our hands and we're going to press down pressure until we get sort of a round, how would I describe this? A thick, very thick, round cookie. And when we're going to bake it, we're going to take our thumb and we're going to press in the middle of this oval or this round, sort of flat, thick. Please imagine it's not too flat. It's bigger than the width of my finger. So, and we're going to press with our thumb in the middle and make an indent. Probably about halfway into the meatball. The reason you do that is for even cooking, but I'll mention that to you guys again. But right now, I'm shaping my meatballs to let them sit in the oven for another 24 hours. So I don't need to do this. And for sake of room, I just want them in balls. I just want to measure them out in balls. So we said this is about 31 grams. We want something between 29 and 31. Now, another way you can do this is, for time consuming, imagine trying to weigh all this mixture. It'll probably, my scale just went off because I'm talking. Your scale will automatically shut off if not in use, which is fine. We don't need it right now. This will take me 2-3 hours probably. If you don't want to spend that much time, I have a medium, I think this is a medium cookie scoop. It feels, a cookie scoop feels like an ice cream scoop. Just the fact that the part that scoops is much, much smaller than an ice cream scoop. It probably feels like half an egg, I would say. And if the bottom, if I press it, oh, the lock is on. Okay, hold on. I need to remember how to take the lock off. So somebody washed this, my mom probably, and as she washed it, she put the lock back on, and now, can't remember where the lock is, but I will find it. I'm just feeling, see, this is good that these things happen on video, because except for the cameraman, I'm pretty much alone, and I need to figure this out. So I'm feeling the whole cookie scoop, trying to figure out where the lock is. For some reason, I think it's down here, but I can't. So I haven't found it yet. And for the sake of time right now, I think I'm going to ask for help. I'm pretty sure it's here, but I can't. Alrighty. I'm going to come back to you guys in a few seconds. I need to get help on this because I can't remember. Oh, there it goes. Never mind. It unlocked itself. It was stuck or something. So maybe it didn't even actually have a lock. I think that maybe it just, for some reason. Anyways, when you press the bottom where the handle is, you can hear it. I'm pressing it. I'm just the way you do pliers in your hands. And when you do that, there's a half moon shaped sort of strip in the middle. When you move that, it moves across the scoop from the one end to the other. The reason it does that is it's gonna help you release what's in here. So I'm just gonna I'm gonna scoop a whole bunch into the scoop. So now I've got the scoop with a big, huge blob of ground beef mixture. I'm gonna press down on it, and I'm gonna take my butter knife and I'm gonna run it across. Just run it across the scoop. That is basically called leveling. And I'm pressing down again. I'm getting rid of whatever's on the outside of the scoop. And and as you go, you'll do this quicker. It seems time consuming right now because I'm showing you guys and I'm explaining. So I've basically scooped and I've pressed down. I've taken out whatever's outside the scoop. I'm gonna run the butter knife over the scoop with the mixture. So whatever's on top will come out. So now it's a level piece of ground beef mixture. I'm going to turn on my scale just to show you guys.
Come out.
I'm going to let her say it's ready.
It's ready.
Okay. So now I'm just going to hold the cookie scoop facing down with the meat towards the palm of my hands, and I'm going to press the handle so I can release the meat into my hands. And whoop, all I had to do it was one time and I released it. So I'm going to just roll it, like we said, in between the palm of our hands with a little bit of slight pressure, and I'm going to weigh this.
26 grams.
So it's 26 grams. You can do them all this size. For me, that's a little bit small. So I'm just going to add a little bit more. But if you want, you can leave. So instead of using your butter knife to level it off, you can leave a little bit more on. But if you use a cookie scoop,
I can't go past there.
you want them about
26 grams.
You want them about 30 grams, like I said. If they're 29, 28, it's not a big deal. You want to get them all as much of the same size because you want even cooking. So I'm just adding.
28 grams.
Okay, it's 28 grams. That's good enough. And I'm just going to place it next to my other one. So I'm going to do all this mixture and I'm going to fill it. I'm going to fill up the cookie sheet and I'm going to put loose plastic wrap on top once I get all of this mixture shaped into little balls. And I'm going to put it in the fridge until tomorrow when we cook it. So I have a lot of work to do. So I can't be sitting here chatting, even though I'd like to. So love you guys. See you tomorrow and when I show you how to bake these. Hi guys. So it's been 48 hours since we mixed up our ground beef mixture. I showed you guys that after approximately 24 hours, it doesn't matter, the next day. So Thursday we did the ground beef mixture. Friday I showed you guys that I sat at my dining room table and I shaped my meatballs, and this is the shaped meatballs. They're just balls, which I actually sat and weighed each and every one. I made sure that they were between 29 and 31 grams. I want them approximately 30 grams. I don't want 27, I don't want 28. I mean, if we start going, 28's okay. 33 is okay. Well, then you're getting into a big difference of 5 grams. You're saying to me, is 5 grams a lot? Well, when you're depending on a little bit of a cooking time, these are small, but you want them to be done all the way through. So you want, if one is 35 and one is 28, your 35 might be a little underdone. So my meatballs are approximately 30 grams. 31, 29, or 30. I had them in the fridge until today, which is Saturday. So I have a prepared baking sheet. I've flattened them out. I've made indents. You can see the indents. I've made indents in the middle. It doesn't have to be exactly middle. Try not to be so... Try not to be perfectionists like I was when I was 20 and thinking, oh my God, how am I going to get that right? Oh my God, how am I going to get that straight? I've made indents. I just want the meatballs really not to be touching. I want them to be even if they have a hair apart from each other, that's good enough. I've got 40 meatballs on this baking sheet. And I've got them on parchment paper because we don't want them to stick. We don't want them to burn. And and parchment paper will help with the cleanup. So whatever fat comes out of the meatballs is just going to be on the parchment paper. You might still get some on the baking sheet, but cleanup will be a lot easier. But the most important thing is you don't want them to stick. So I'm just going to put these in the oven. And I'm going to show you guys some more things. So just give me a second. Now, I'm feeling for it. And I really don't care if that's centered or not. I've put it in. I'm going to set the timer for 18 minutes. Press start. Check it. Yeah, it's working. Leave the timer aside. Now, I'm going to turn them in 18 minutes and I'm going to leave them in for another 18 minutes. But I want to show you guys how to put parchment paper on your baking sheet. So I have an empty baking sheet here. I've got scissors and parchment paper. So this is a big box of parchment paper that I get from Costco. It's longer than the width of my baking sheet. If I were to turn it lengthwise, it's too short. So I'm going to open it up. I'm going to pull out the end and I'm going to hold my box of parchment paper on the left side of, I'm right-handed, so on the left side of my baking sheet, I'm holding it outside of my baking sheet. And I'm going to pull all the way across until I pass the right side of my baking sheet. So I've passed the right side. And I'm going to lift it and I'm going to cut it. The box has little teeth on it. So you just like tin foil and stuff like that. So let's put the parchment paper aside. Now, we have a piece of parchment paper that is too big for this baking sheet. It's too big. I'm blind. I can't cut this straight. No matter how much I try, no matter what I do, I ain't cutting this straight. This is not a beauty pageant, guys. Don't worry about it. We don't need this to be pretty. I'm going to turn the parchment paper on because it was in a roll, the parchment paper is actually rolling up. So I'm going to turn it on the side that it isn't rolling. And I'm going to bring it to the edge. I'm going to feel with my fingers. I have the parchment paper in the baking sheet. I'm holding it down with my hands and I'm feeling it that the one edge is at the end of the baking sheet. So normally I would put a weight here, which I forgot. Hold on, I'll just find something. Here, this feels heavy. Okay, I just grabbed a bag of salt. So I'm going to make sure it's at my edge. Okay, and I'm going to put the bag of salt there to keep it in place. And I'm going to go to the other side. I'm going to fold what's outside of the baking sheet over into the baking sheet. And I'm going to fold it to the other edge. So I'm folding it. Now I want a little bit, I don't mind if it has a little bit, if it's going up a little, up the rim of the baking sheet. I don't mind if it's going up a few millimeters, who cares? So I'm just folding it. Okay, now I'm gonna lift and I have a fold. And I'm just gonna run my fingers so it can go all across. I'm running my fingers against the fold all the way from one edge to the other. Now, so I take it in my hands and I take the scissors and I feel where I put my finger The fingers that the way you hold the scissors, you have your fingers through the scissors. I find the fold. I put my finger in between the fold. Okay? So, with my left hand, I hold the one side of the fold. So one is hanging and the other side I'm holding. And I open up my scissors and I put it in the fold. So the one blade of your scissors is actually in your fold. So now the paper is folded on one side and on the other over my one blade. Like I'm actually touching it. I feel the blade in between. And then I close the scissors and I snip. So now we've snipped the first part. So I'm going to move my hand further. I'm going to put the scissors back under the fold. And now I'm going to start snipping. So I'm snipping with my right hand and I'm holding with my left. Moving my left hand towards the left. Moving my right hand towards the left. Moving my left hand again. So basically I'm moving my hand away from the blade. And I'm snipping the fold. I'm snipping the fold. Now sometimes the paper will crinkle, so I'll stop and I'll make sure that the scissors is sitting good on the fold and snip. And then I move my scissors to the left. My hand goes also to the left because I don't want the blade going near. Make sure that it's on the fold and snip. Snip, 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 snip all the way through until it falls off. Now, crunch that up, that's garbage. Move the bag of salt. We've got a fake parchment paper that's good from left to right, so we're good horizontally, but we're not good vertically. It's way too big. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move the parchment paper to the edge that's nearest to me. I've got the parchment paper there. It doesn't matter if it's going up a little on the rim. And I'm going to find the edge away from me, and I'm going to do the same thing we did before. I'm going to fold over. So I'm folding the paper over to fit folding it over, and I'm going to pick it up. I'm going to make sure that it's good. It's good. And I'm going to do the same thing again, guys. I have a horizontal fold now. Before, we were cutting the short end, and now we're cutting the long end. Again, the same thing. I described it to you guys before. I'm going to find the fold, put my blade in. I'm doing it faster now because I already showed it to you guys. And I'm going to start snipping while I move my hands across. One hand, the hand that's holding the paper goes to the left. The scissors goes to the left. My hand goes to the left, the scissors goes to the left. So my left hand is going away from the blade, and my blade is going towards my hand. And when I get towards the end, I hold it a little further down and snip off. Now, is this a perfect rectangle? Absolutely not. Is it going to do our job? Absolutely. Is anybody going to come and look at our kitchen and say, oh, she can't even cut paper straight? Well, whoop-de-doo. I make better meatballs than you. So maybe you cut better, you cut paper straight. I'm just joking, by the way. But you know what I mean. The point is, what I'm trying to get through to blind people is don't worry if it's pretty. You just want to cover your baking sheet. You want to protect your meat, and you want less cleanup. Now, if by chance it's a little off, oh well, you'll just get a little bit that, I'm just going to push it. Make sure most of it is covered, which it pretty much is. Now it's moving because it's, like I said, it wants to roll itself. I'm just going to get this out of my way. And let's put the salt back. We don't need it anymore. And okay. Now, I have my meatballs. I'm just going to take a meatball into my hand. And like I told you guys before, you put it in the palm of your hand. Put the other palm on top. Now I've got a meatball. between my two palms, just like as if I was going to clap my hands, but there's a meatball between. And I'm going to roll it around just to give it a little roll. And then I'm going to press. I'm putting a little bit of pressure and flattening. Please don't flatten too much. You're just going to flatten once, twice. You're going to put it on your baking sheet and you're going to press. You're going to make an indent in the middle with your thumb or whatever finger you want. That's just to even cook it. I'm just going to do a couple of, maybe 1 or 2 rows just to show you. So I'm doing another one. I've got it in my hands. I'm rolling it. Slight pressure, 2, 3 times. Put it next. Again, I don't want them touching, but I don't want much of a distance between them either. So, a hairline. So I'm going to do, so by the time the 18 minutes is up, for the ones we have in the oven, this pan will be ready. So I'm putting them on my baking sheet and I'm indenting them as I go. So every one I'm rolling and then flatten between the palms of my hands. I'm putting it, and now I'm going vertically on the short end. So I'm going vertically in front of me. So 1, 2, 3, I'm on my 4th meatball. 4th meatball, I make an indent. I grab another one. Roll between the palms of the hands. Slight pressure, a little bit of flattening. And I'm going to put the 5th one. Now, it's actually good that happened. So my 5th one's not fitting properly. That's fine. I have a little room to wiggle. I'm just going to move my meatballs down. Move. And guess what? Now it fits. And make the indent. And that's 5 meatballs. So I'm going to do 5 on the short end. And if we were counting on the long end, it would be 8. This particular baking sheet fits 40 meatballs. So my first 40 are in the oven. And I'm just going to put one more so you guys can see. So next, I go back to the bottom of the row of the 5 that I just put in. And right next to the first one, I put my next one. I indent with my thumb. And it's ready to go. Now I'm going to add my next 4 meatballs. And then I'm going to start from the bottom again and add another 5. And then from the bottom again, add another 5. Until I get 8 rows of 5. And when the other ones are ready, this will go in the oven. And that's all there is to it. So I'm actually just going to show you guys at the 18-minute mark. I've got 6 minutes left. So I will see. I'm going to continue preparing this baking sheet. And we'll come back in a few minutes so I can show you guys the meatballs that are in the oven. See you in a few minutes. All right, guys. So our timer's going off. So I need to get the meatballs out so we can turn them. Oven mitts, go on. Hopefully you have the nice long oven mitts. Woo, steam and heat. Oh my God, they smell fabulous. So I take them out, put them on my stove, close the oven door. Now, guys, really, not even my mom who's sighted I can't use a fork to turn these. There's no way. I have to use my finger. It's a little bit hot. So you're just going to turn, feel, go in a row. Otherwise, you're going to lose where you are. So I just turned. I start from the left corner and I go up. I go up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hoo, hot. Go to the next row. So I count the 1, 2, next row, second row. Turn. Ha, 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 ha. Turn. So I've done 2 rows. Holy hot. So take a break for my fingers. 1, 2. Go to the 3rd row. Turn. I'm turning. I'm going upwards. How to describe it? I'm not going across. I'm going upwards. So there's my 3rd row. But I can't find my 4th row now. So I need to start from the left corner again. 1, 2. I'm going towards the right. 3, 4. So that one I haven't turned. And then I go on the one on top of that. and the one on top of that, and the one on top of that, and the one on top of that. So that's our 5th row. So we're at 25. Now, if I want, I'm on the 5th row. I just did the top one. I can go next to that last one and do that one. 6. Sorry, on the 6th row. But now I'm going downwards, and I'm turning. And I'm turning till I get to the bottom. Now I go to the 7th row. So from the bottom, I go to the one to the right, and I turn. And I turn, and I turn. Ouch, ouch, hot. And I'm at the top. So I go to the one next to it. Excuse me. And I turn and turn the one below that, the one below that, the one below that, the one below that. Go. I'm at the bottom now. So now I move to the one to the right, which is actually the last row. Turn, 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 turn. Now, please, guys, don't worry if they're touching. Oh, I need the oven mitts. Sorry. Don't worry if they're touching. I did it so that they're not touching, well, for the most part. They're half done, so don't worry about it now. You have more room now. So now we're just going to put it back in the oven, open up the oven door. I've got my oven mitts on, and I'm going to put them back in. Back in. And close the oven door. Set the timer again for another 18 minutes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 minutes.
Press start. Check if it's working. It is, because I'm pressing the minute button that I used and nothing's happening. So that means it's working. And we leave them in for another 18 minutes. There is a small chance that they might be underdone if your meatballs are a little too big or whatever the case is, or it's also preference. So I'm going to come back in 18 minutes, show you guys the finished product. I'm going to open one up so you guys can see what it looks like inside. And I'm going to wait for my 2-3 hours until my fasting period is over. And I'm going to gobble them all up before my husband gets to them. Because if he gets to them, none of us are going to get to taste them. So we'll see what happens. I'll let you guys know about that on another episode. But for now, see you in 18 minutes. So we're back. We've got 30 seconds left. I've got my mom standing next to me, and I'll tell you guys why. Say hi.
Hello.
This is my mom, Katina. Her name is actually Katerina, or actually her proper name is Ekaterini. And we call her Katina for short. So her name is Catherine. And she's here to confirm. So I'm going to show you guys.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay. Our timer is up. So I'm going to open up the oven. Go back a little. Okay. Oh, yeah. She just said in Greek that they look beautiful. I'm going to take them out. I'm actually just going to, give me a second. No, I'm going to put the other one in. Oh. I have my next baking sheet ready. So I'm just going to put these in. Oops. All right. In they go. Set the timer for 18 minutes. This is for my next batch.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 minutes.
And press start. And it's working. So, our meatballs are ready. They're sizzling. The smell is absolutely fantastic. Our meatballs, it's a very small cut of meat. So believe me, 36 minutes, it's done. Some people like medium, some people like medium rare, some people like medium well, some people like well. I don't like well for meatballs because that means they're too dry. I want a little bit of juice. Meatballs are never going to be juicy unless, lots people smother them in barbecue sauce. These are meant to eat plain or with tzatziki. Mm-hmm. So, I'm just going to grab a little plate just because they're hot. And I'm going to grab one. I'm going to put it on my plate. They feel nice and done. And they're hot, but I can handle touching them. And I'm just going to open it up for you guys. So I'm just going to cut it right down the center. Whoops. Ooh, maybe I should have waited a little bit more. It's really hot. And I'm just opening it up. And this is what it looks like inside. Now, you probably might see a little bit of red. It's the tomato. So I'm going to have my mom confirm.
No, not right.
So she just examined it. She's cited, and she says it's perfect in the doneness. I would have eaten it anyways. You can also do it by taste. I would have eaten it anyways because I'm sure 36 minutes is enough. You might even get away with 35 minutes. You might find that a little too dry. It's up to your taste buds. But basically 18 minutes on one side, 18 minutes on the other, 30 grams, that's it. Once these completely cool down, you can put them in a freezer bag, freeze them, and have them ready for when you want to serve them. You take them out, defrost them on the counter or in the fridge overnight, warm them up in your microwave, or put them in the oven for a few minutes. Or if you're having a party, here's my stove. I grab a bowl. I put my 30 meatballs. I set the bowl in the middle of my burners. So you've got your 4 burners. You're going to set it in the middle. You're going to start your burners. You've got rice going on one. You've got, I don't know, potatoes going on another. You've got corn going on another. You've got your meatballs sitting on your stovetop and they're warming up from the heat of the burners. You don't put them on the burner. Please don't do that. You're going to break your bowls, plates, plastic will melt. You're just going to put it in the center. Or on a burner that you're not using, like the back burner or whatever. And then they'll be ready to serve. That's it. They're fantastic. They smell delicious. I hope you guys will make them. I hope you enjoy them. Please don't forget the ouzo. Try to get that. It gives it a nice taste. And we can't wait to chow down. So gotta go. I'm in a rush. See you guys later.
Bye.
Next episode. I am your host, Zoe Fiogos. With sincere love and gratitude, I thank you for watching Zoe's Blind Kitchen Corner.